Shadow Island, treasure in the mist. Far away in the southeast in the vast unmapped blue ocean, there is an ancient legend of Shadow Island, a ghost island shrouded in eternal fog, where pirates' treasures are rumored to have been hidden centuries ago. No one ever returned from there, or at least no one lived to tell. In a small fishing village called Underground Bay, there lived Baled, four simple but brave men: Lao Tam, an old captain with eyes that had seen hundreds of storms; Dung, a young train driver with sharp intuition; Min, the best diver in the area; and Lan, the only girl in the group, are mysterious treasure hunters who have an ancient map hand-carved on animal skin, a clue to the Shadow Island. They began their voyage on a new moon night, when the sea was chillingly calm. Overcoming every wave, every thunderstorm that seemed to tear the ship apart, they were resilient and did not give up, because they knew treasure is not for the faint of heart. When they got out of the familiar waters, they began to encounter strange phenomena. Birds flying in the opposite direction, the compass spinning around, the seawater changing to ash gray, and sometimes they heard howls echoing from afar, like a call from another world. On the 13th day, they passed through a layer of fog as thick as ghost smoke, and then the island appeared. The journey begins on sunny days and calm seas, but after just 3 days of leaving familiar waters, everything started going wrong. Compass spins, sea changes color. On the morning of the fourth day, Dung, the helmsman, discovered that the ship's compass was no longer pointing in the right direction. The needle began to spin as if it were being sucked into an invisible vortex. "It might be the magnetic field," Lon said uncertainly, but Min, the least superstitious of the group, muttered softly, "I heard from fishermen that when the compass spins, it means we are about to enter a cursed land." By noon, the sea surface gradually turned ashen gray, as thick as if mixed with ink. The fish were no longer visible. The birds flew against the wind. Some seemed to be diving into nothingness, disappearing into the sky. Fog and whispers. At night, when they went up to the watch deck, a mist as thin as silk began to roll around the ship. No one knew where it came from. The sky was still cloudless, but the mist thickened with each hour, and as night fell, they began to hear whispering. Not from anyone in the group. Strange murmurs, sometimes distant, like the wind on the water, sometimes almost right next to their ears. Lan woke in the middle of the night, her back drenched in sweat, saying, "Someone is calling my name." Everyone was startled, for they had all dreamed the same thing, though no one had said it first. Each person's name called out from the mist, floating objects and ghostly lights. On the seventh day, while rowing slowly through a dark area, they saw a rotten boat floating, unmanned. But there were traces of human hands on it, dried blood on the rudder. Men tried to pull it back with a pole to sea, but the boat suddenly sank straight down, leaving no bubbles. That night, from the middle of the ocean, blue balls of light began to appear, drifting low on the surface of the water. First one, then two, then dozens. No one dared to touch them, but their light clearly showed the images of broken ships lying on the seabed. Like a warning, by the 10th day, the sea became eerily quiet. There were no waves, no wind, not a sound except for the beating of hearts and the gentle tapping of the sails against the masts. The whole world seemed frozen. The ship hovered in a realm of death. Dung even tried shouting out to the sea, but only heard a faint echo, and then another voice came back, saying the same thing. Not his own. The arm in the waves on the 12th day, as Min was pulling in a net, he shouted to everyone. In the net was a human arm, long severed, the skin as pale as wax, still wearing an old iron ring engraved with a skull. No one slept that night. The island looked like a giant skull floating on the sea, with steep cliffs and dense forests that creaked as if whispering. They landed on the island and followed the map, passing through swamps, dark caves, and stone statues with eyes watching their every step. Then they found a giant stone door, engraved with ancient symbols. When Lan deciphered the inscription, the door slowly opened, revealing a deep cellar. Below are chests of gold, gems, and ancient weapons, the treasures of the Black Pirates, a group of pirates who once terrorized the seas. After following the map through the jungle and caves, the group of four finally came to a giant stone door, 3 times taller than a person, covered in vines and moss. Ancient characters were engraved on the door, both like human language and the cry of something older than time itself. Lon, using her experience from previous treasure hunts, translated the words, "Whoever opens this door will bear the gaze of the darkness. The gold here is not a reward, it is bait." Dung laughed loudly, thinking it was just a threat. But when the group pushed the door open together, the sound of grinding stone echoed eerily, and a cold wind blew out as if from the realm of death. Inside was a vast, temple-like vault where treasure chests were stacked to the ceiling. Gold, silver, precious stones, jeweled weapons, crystal trophies, and coins shaped like human skulls. Everything glittered so brightly that they were almost blinding. They could hardly believe their eyes. But then, things began to change. The rise of the Nightmen was the first to hear it. A whisper rang out, this time not in the mist, but from deep within the vault. A voice, male or female, but very close, very real. "Give it back. Give me back my blood." A crack appeared at the end of the vault. From it, black smoke leaked out, billowing like a living creature. The wind died down, and the torchlight went out. In the darkness, a pair of glowing red eyes opened, not belonging to any of the remaining species. The creature emerged from the cave, the shape of a tall human, but its body was wrapped in black smoke, its white bones visible inside like a lantern light piercing the mist. With each step it took, the rocks melted into ash. "The treasure is mine. Your souls will remain here." Old Tam, despite his advanced age, was the first to react. He pulled out the ancient gun he had brought with him since the beginning of the journey and fired straight at the creature. The bullet pierced through the smoke, causing no damage. Min took the blade of his axe and chopped at the creature. The axe broke in two. Lon realized this thing could not be destroyed by weapons. It was the soul of the first pirate leader, the one who sacrificed his crew in exchange for the immortal treasure. And he was now the guardian, forcing the souls of those who came after to continue the curse. It was too late to run. Tam decided to stay, shouting, "Run! Take the treasure! But remember, don't look back." And then he pulled a lever on the wall, activating the ancient stone trap, causing the tunnel to begin to collapse. He turned back to face the creature, holding the last torch and laughing loudly. "If you are the darkness, then I am the last light." The explosion rang out. The tunnel collapsed completely. Lon, Dung, and Min managed to escape, taking part of the treasure with them. The small boat of the three people left the island in silence. The sea suddenly became strangely calm, as if the ocean itself was mourning the fallen. The mist gradually cleared, the light of dawn filtered through the gaps in the clouds, shining on the sea surface, shining on the bewildered faces of the survivors. None of them said a word. Each of them was holding a part of Lao Tam in their ton, the Olsey captain, who not only guided them on the sea, but was also the lighthouse that led them out of the storms of their hearts. The compass stopped spinning. Strangely, the ship's compass started working again right after they left the island. The needle pointed to the north as if it had never been disturbed. But all three understood, not because the ship had escaped the curse, but because the keeper of the curse, Lao Tam, had chosen to stay. Lon quietly took out the ancient map, then burned it with the last fire on the ship. The ashes flew into the sky like tiny birds, falling slowly into the sea. "No one should repeat this journey," she whispered, tears falling without anyone asking why. When they returned to the fishing village of Baingam, they were greeted with surprised eyes. The three of them left, now only 2 men and 1 woman remained. No one asked, but everyone knew something sacred was lost. The treasure was divided into 3 parts. They did not spend it lavishly. Instead, they used the gold to build schools, clinics, and buy fishing boats for poor fishermen. Dung opened a shipyard, Min became a diving instructor, and Lon almost disappeared, only occasionally appearing, leaving a bag of rice in front of a poor person's house, and then leaving again. On the hilltop overlooking the sea, the 3 of them erected a black stone stele. Carved on it were the simple words, "Old Tam, the last keeper of the sea route, no longer here but forever a guide. No body, no ashes." But every evening at sunset, the villagers often saw a large white seabird soaring over the hill, calling out 3 times, then disappearing into the horizon. The children in the village called it Mr. Tam's bird. Many years later, on a moonlit night, Dung, now with gray hair, heard the sound of waves lapping against the side of the ship, just like that fateful night. He stood on the deck, the sea breeze caressing his old hair, and then, like a whisper in his ear, "Very good. My children have used the treasure properly." He did not turn around. He just closed his eyes, smiled, and whispered, "We still remember you, old Tam."